Okay, here are day 3 notes for distribution. So when we're going to distribute, we're going to multiply. When you multiply, you add your exponents and you multiply numbers or your coefficients or constants. So for the first example, number 1, you're going to be taking 2x to the first, and parentheses mean to multiply. You're going to multiply 2x times x, so 2x times x. Then you're going to take 2x again, and you're going to multiply it with 8. So plus 2x times 8. So when you multiply, you add your exponent, so you get 2x times x is going to be 2x squared, because here you have a coefficient of 1, and 2 times 1 is still 2. Here you're only multiplying 2 times 8, and you keep the x. So 2 times 8 is 16, so plus 16, and then you bring down that x to the 1 power. Here you're done, because these are not like. X squared and x to the first are not like. All right, number 2. Now you have 5 times n plus 7. So again, you start with 5 and you multiply it. You start with 5 and multiply it with 7. So 5 times, there's a 1 here, so 5 times 1 is 5. So you get 5n. 5 times 7 is going to be 35, so you have to put a plus 35. And here you're done, because these are not like. Again, not like. Here you need to make sure you have a plus sign between, a plus sign. Sometimes it's a minus sign. All right, number 3. Now you have 2b to the first power, and you're going to multiply it with 3b to the first power. So you multiply here, and you get negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. b, you add the exponent, so b squared. So again, it was negative 2b times 3b. Now you're going to take a negative 2b and multiply it with a negative 10. A negative times a negative. Negative 2 times a negative 10. It's a positive 20, so you have to put a plus 20b. And again, it's b to the first, so these are not like terms. You cannot combine them. Number 4. Now on number 4, we're going to take 1y and we're going to multiply it with 2. So multiply. 1 times 2 is 2, so 2y. Now you're going to take 1y and multiply it with a negative 3y. 1 times a negative 3 is a negative 3. Negative 3y, but you have to add the exponents. So this is squared. Now you're going to take 1y and multiply it with a positive 6. So 1 times 6 is still 6. So plus 6, and you have y still. Here, you're not done. So here, you have to combine like terms. There's like terms here. Y to the first power, 6 to the first power, 2y plus 6y, you can combine together. So you're not multiplying, you're saying 2 plus 6, 8. So 8y, and then you just drop down the minus 3y squared. Now, if you wanted to write this in standard form, you would have your negative 3y squared first, and then your plus 8y, with your exponent being the largest y squared. So this is the same answer. It's just in standard form. Okay, next side. Now, we're going to find the product. So when we find the product, we're going to use the FOIL method. So use FOIL. This is what it says in your notes. When we use the FOIL method, it's first, outer, inner, and last. So first, outer, inner, last. When we do that, we're going to look at each problem and multiply each individual term with each individual piece. So everything gets multiplied here. So let's look at number 1. We're going to multiply the first. When you multiply, add exponents, multiply numbers. Okay? So we're going to take x to the first times x to the first. This is first. X times x is going to be x squared. Next, we're going to take the outer. So now we're going to take x times negative 2. X times a negative 2 is negative 2x. Now we're going to take the inner. We're going to take negative 3 times x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Now we're going to take the outer, or the last, I'm sorry. Negative 3 times negative 2. Negative 3 times a negative 2, that's last. So in your calculator, you're multiplying a negative 3 times a negative 2, a positive 6. You have to put up plus 6. Here, you're not done. Now it's time to combine your like terms. If you notice, the terms in the center are like terms. You can combine these by just taking a negative 2 minus 3. So first, bring down your x squared. So you bring down x squared. You combine these two. So you take negative 2 minus 3. You're not multiplying. Negative 5, negative 5x. And then you bring down the plus 6. And you're done here. This is your answer. Let's try number 2. We're going to take 2w and we're going to multiply it with w. So 2w times w is going to be 2w squared. Then you're going to take the outer. So 2w times negative 3. So we went from 2w, then 2w again. So 2 times negative 3. Oops, no. Sorry, it's not 2 minus 3. It's going to be 2 times a negative 3. You're multiplying. Negative 6. So minus 6w. Now you take the inner. So 5 times w. So minus 5w. Now you take the last. So you're taking negative 5 times negative 3. So negative 5 times negative 3 is a positive 15. So plus 15. Again, you need to combine your like terms. The like terms are these middle terms. 6w minus 5w. So first bring down 2w squared. Combine negative 6 minus 5. Negative 11. W. And then you bring down your plus 15. And you're done. w to the second power, w to the first power, so this is in standard form. Okay, number 3. Now the difference between 1 and 2 to 3 and 4 is now there's 3 terms. So we went from the first, and then we went back to the first and multiplied the last ones. Then we took the inner, and then we multiplied that last one. So you're going to do the same type of idea here. So on number 3, first we're going to take x, and you're going to multiply it with each term inside the parentheses. So x to the first power. So we're going to take x times x squared. Add the exponents, so x to the third power. Now take x again and multiply it with x. So multiply those two plus x squared. There's a 1 in front, so you're not adding them. You're saying 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So that's why we have a 1 in front, a 1 in front. Now you're going to take x one more time and multiply it with a negative 1. X times a negative 1 is a negative 1x, or just negative x. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply this negative 2 times x squared. Negative 2 times x squared. Negative 2x squared. Now we're going to take a negative 2 and multiply it with x. So a negative 2 times a 1 is a negative 2x. So a negative 2x. And then last, we're going to take a negative 2 and multiply it with a negative 1. Negative 2 times a negative 1 is a positive 2, so we have to put a plus 2. Here, we're not done. We need to combine like terms now. So there's nothing like with your x to the third power. There's nothing like with it, so you're going to bring that straight down first. Now you're going to look for all of the x squared. Here I have 1x squared, and it's positive, and I'm going to combine it with a minus 2x squared. So I'm going to take 1 minus 2, negative 1. So you leave the exponents alone. So negative 1x squared. Do not combine the exponents here. Next, you're going to take your x's. You have a negative 1x and you have a negative 2x. Combine them. Negative 1 minus 2. Negative 3. And you keep the x. And then last, you're going to combine any of the constants. So here, it's just a plus 2. There's nothing like with it. Bring it down. Plus 2. So here, you're done because they are not like. Okay, number 4. We're going to do the same concept, and we're going to multiply, then combine like terms. So on number 4, let's first multiply 2 times 3a. So 2 times 3 is 6. So we get 6a squared. Now we're going to take 2 again and multiply it with 3a. So 2 times 3 is 6. This time we get a plus 6a. Now we're going to take a 2 and we're going to multiply it with a negative 5. So 2 times a negative 5. Negative 10. There's no letter here, so negative 10. Now we're going to multiply a negative 1a with 3a squared. So when we do that, we add the exponents. A negative 1 times 3 is a negative 3, but we take a and add the exponent, so a cubed. Now we're going to take negative 1a and multiply it with a positive 3a. When you do that, you add the exponent. So negative 1 times 3, negative 3 again. But this time you take a to the first, and add them, so a squared. Now you take a negative 1a and you multiply it with a negative 5. So a negative 1 times a negative 5. Negative 1 times a negative 5 is a positive 5, but we still have a. So there's no other a's that we need to add the exponent to, so we just bring down that a. From here, we combine the like terms. So my like terms with 6a squared are going to be my minus 3a squared. So I take 6 minus 3, 3. So I get 3a squared. A squared stays the same. Now I look for the like terms with 6a. So I go and look for the like terms with 6a plus 5a. So 6 plus 5, 11. So plus 11a. Now I look for the like terms with negative 10. There are no like terms with negative 10, so I bring down a minus 10. Any like terms with a to the third? No, so I bring down my minus 3a to the third. Now you just want to put this in standard form. In standard form, you have it in order with negative 3a first, cubed. Then we bring down plus 3a squared. Then we bring down plus 11a. Then we bring down a minus 10. This is in standard form, and these are not like. 3, 2, 1, and none. Okay, last is number 5. On number 5, what we're going to do is find the perimeter and the area. So when we're finding the perimeter and the area, you have to know the rules when you're finding perimeter and when you're finding area. They're two separate. So perimeter is going to be 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Area, you're multiplying length times width. So let's find perimeter first. We're going to take 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. I know perimeter is adding all the sides, but this is an easier way to do that. I'll show you both. So perimeter, we're going to take 2 times the length. So 3x minus 8 plus 2 times the width, x plus 6. When we do that, we're going to distribute and multiply. So we're going to multiply 2 times 3x. So P equals 2 times 3 is 6. So we're going to get 6x. Then we're going to take 2 times a negative 8. 2 times a negative 8, you get negative 16. Then we're going to take 2 times x, so 2 times 1 is plus 2x. Then we're going to take a 2 times 6, so 2 times 6 is plus 12. And then last, we're going to combine our like terms. So 6x and 2x, you can combine those. 6 plus 2, 6 plus 2 is 8. So P equals 8x. Then you take negative 16 plus 12, and that's negative 4. So this is your perimeter. If you wanted to, you could do that here, and you could say 3x, 3x, 1x, 1x. Altogether, all the x's is 8x. Then you take negative 8, negative 16, plus 6, so plus 12, you get a negative 4. It's the same thing. Okay, last we're going to find the area. So here, we'll find the area. When you find the area, it's length times width. So you're just taking these two sides and multiplying them. So you're taking 3x minus 8 times x plus 6. And you're going to do what we just did up there. All right, so when you multiply here, you're taking 3x times x, 3x squared. Then you're taking 3x again and you're multiplying it with 6. So 3 times 6 is plus 18x, because there's an x. Next, you're going to take the inner negative 8 times x. So negative 8 times 1 is negative 8x. And last, you're going to take negative 8 again, and you're going to multiply it with 6. So negative 8 times 6, negative 48. Last, you just want to combine your like terms. So this is the area equals. Now you're going to combine the two middle terms because they have the same variable. And you're going to have area equals 3x squared. 18 plus, minus 8 is minus 10x minus 48. And this is the area.